Today on Newsgirls Holiday Special. Pantone's Color of the Year. Pantone has been choosing Color of the Year as a prediction of what color will capture the global zeitgeist for the year ahead.
The process to pick the color is very secretive, which is why we are so excited to have scored an interview with the Vice President and Executive Director of Pantone.
What to know before buying luxury gifts.
Dior bag was made for $57 and was sold for $2,800.
Crazy.
It's like a 5,000% markup.
It raises so many ethical questions about purchasing these products. And our holiday travel survival guide. 2024 has been a chaotic year for airline travel.
And to give us some holiday travel tips, we're speaking to the managing editor of The Points Guy.
51% of US adults plan on traveling this holiday season, I know, which is crazy.
Welcome to Newsgirls Holiday Special.
I'm Ren.
And I'm Mabel.
Today we thought we'd get you in the holiday spirit and be very festive.
Very festive.
And all of our stories today will help you get through the next couple weeks.
So let's get into the stories.
Hey guys.
Hi everyone.
We are at Pantone's Color of the Year launch event in New York City.
Color of the year is Mocha Mousse.
Mabel, what did you think when you saw this color?
I liked it. It's like a lightish kind of pearlescent brown.
So neutral. Like I always expect the color to be like a pop color.
Yeah. They said that it was supposed to be like comforting and luxurious.
So we'll take you along with us. That was such a cool event. Like everything at the party was decked out in mocha mousse. Like they had a whole table of chocolate mousse, espresso martinis. The live band was all wearing brown.
Yeah, the vibe that they were going for was like quiet luxury and like rich elegance, and that really came through with their setup. They also partnered with a bunch of brands that all created like mocha mousse colored products. So we saw like a brown Mini Cooper and a Trek bike and lots of clothes and jewelry, even cell phones. So these product booths were kind of like scattered around the space and were kind of like the focal point of the event, I guess, to kind of show how the color would integrate itself in the real world.
And we got these huge merch bags, including these super cute mugs.
Woo, color of the year.
Okay. And Pantone has been choosing Color of the Year since 1999 when they chose the color of the millennium as a prediction of what color will capture the global zeitgeist for the year ahead. And then brands and designers really use it to market their products that year.
Yes, so they say that the color is emblematic of a snapshot in time, and it's supposed to express what's happening in the world through the language of color. And the process to pick the color is very secretive and is super kept like under wraps, which is why we are so excited to have scored an interview with Lori Pressman and Lee Eisman, who are the Vice President and Executive Director of Pantone. So we're going to get the inside scoop from them a little bit later.
I can't wait to ask them why they chose Mocha Mousse for 2025, because usually they're pretty vague about their process to choose a color. In the past, they've said they analyze trends in a lot of different sectors of life, like the entertainment industry, films and production, traveling art shows, fashion, technology, popular travel destinations, as well as lifestyles or even socioeconomic conditions, which was interesting to us, or even social media platforms or upcoming sporting events.
We also found out that allegedly twice a year, Pantone hosts like a secret meeting of colorists from all around the world in an undisclosed European capital. And for 2 days, these colorists basically debate color palettes and like pitch concepts in a white room with like white walls so that they're not influenced by color. And apparently those meetings help them pick the color of the year.
Like, what if they wanted to choose white?
Nope, not allowed.
That sounds so intense, like a secret international color debate. Like, I want to sit in on that. And apparently these discussions revolve around a theme like comfort or harmony or unity or something.
Yeah, and the way that these experts convey color is so interesting. It's not just like brown and then you can decide what brown means to you. It's like a specific pearlescent brown, and they give you adjectives that tie to the brown to convey another vision and dimension of that specific color.
The Pantone Color Institute is the leading authority on color in the world. They were the first to have like a standardized color filing system. So like Pantone 186C will always be Coca-Cola red, or Pantone 286C will always be Facebook blue, and so on.
Pantone was created in 1962, essentially as a way for like manufacturers to distinguish their colors from competitors, but still have their colors and shades be consistent within their own brand. And basically every brand and organization, even like the US military or the European Union, use Pantone color standards. And today there are over 15,000 colors in the Pantone library.
You probably don't know that Pantone created the millennial pink fad. So they chose a light pink as their color of the year in 2016. And then it went on to blow up. And by 2017, the term millennial pink was coined. They also popularized the color cerulean, which then we all remember from The Devil Wears Prada.
What you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise. It's not lapis. It's actually cerulean. In 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers.
And before this like nuanced degree of color was used by brands and fashion, it was actually first used by scientists, which is really cool. So scientists obviously needed names for specific shades of colors to distinguish between plant and animal species. So bluebirds, for example, there are hundreds of different kinds of birds and so many different shades of blue, so they need a way to distinguish light bluebird 1 versus light bluebird 2. And so the first fully comprehensive color dictionary was for this purpose of species differentiation. And then as the world commercialized, that later influenced Pantone.
And Color of the Year is really Pantone's big annual moment. Like in addition to the launch party that we went to, the London Eye turned Mocha Mousse. And we think we'll be talking to Lori and Lee from their press tour in either Shanghai or Mumbai.
We really can't wait to talk to them and get all the ins and outs of the Color of the Year.
Where did the inspiration for Mocha Mousse come from?
I mean, really what it comes down to, Pantone Color of the Year is capturing a mood. This is a global team of people that are involved in this decision. They all live and breathe color. They see life through the lens of color. So these are people involved in trend. These are people that are living in all different areas of the world. And I always liken them to color anthropologists who are able to see what's happening in the world, but then how that gets translated into the silent language of color.
I mean, this was a big political year, obviously in the US, but also around the world. Did politics have an influence in like picking this color at all this year?
Politics is one of many, many, many things. When we're having these discussions, it's not really that direct link as this person now moved into office or this person was out of office, because so many things factor into the colors that we're gravitating to.
Are these brand new shades that are, or are they like shades you pull off the shelves in Pantone's library and like give them a name?
We've done both. For the most part, they do come from existing Pantone colors, but we did, for example, in 22, we did Very Peri, which was a brand new color. We have to turn it over to the scientists at Pantone to make certain that it is a new color. Mm-hmm. And they agreed that there was this new color that came, Very Peri. And of course, we had great success with it. People were fascinated by it.
And are there like certain rules that exist when picking color of the year? Like you picked peach fuzz last year. If you did see orange kind of becoming this trend in color again this year, like would you not want to pick another color in the orange family?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I don't think we've ever really had that dilemma. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that in future, we might do an orange one year and the next year, oh, wow, there's another, there's rust is big and we can't ignore it.
The name is certainly salient to the color we select. And I remember zeroing in on a color that was like pea soup or something like that. And we looked at each other going, no.
That's not it.
Not the message. This is not what we're talking about.
A lot of the same words that were used to describe peach fuzz last year were being used to describe Mocha Mousse, wanting indulgence, wanting to like pamper yourself a little bit. Why do you think we need these colors right now?
It's this whole idea of self-care, right? Nurturing yourself, and not in a selfish way, but just in a self-protective way. We've seen this foodification of color this year. A lot of colors with food names. And that was really interesting because that also talks about comfort, right? Because a lot of times the minute you think of something good to eat, it takes you into a different place. When you think about a mousse, it's not heavy, it's like a whipped. So the image is important, but the name is extremely important.
We did notice while we were looking through like past colors that Pantone has picked a neutral color before, but this is the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, that there was like a brown that was picked. Was that like an exciting moment for Pantone?
If we think even from a consumer point of view on the browns, we're seeing, one other aspect is the whole idea of sustainability. And we've seen consumers really pushing to slow down trend cycles, things that are more seasonless, more genderless, things that are practical, yet wearable, understated, yet can be dressed up. And we started to see a move towards neutrals.
It's such a great neutral. Like, I think it looks so much better on a lot of people than black, but people forget about it because black, everyone just wears black all the time. So I hope this encourages people to go into brown because I think it looks so nice on so many people.
Well, you're a perfect example of it. Look at the two of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for I know Lee had the same reaction that I did, going, oh, look.
Thank you.
And to go into the brown family, which is so inherent and understood as a natural color, we felt was a great direction to go in. And then you point out to them that they may have things that already exist in their living environment that are brown, but they don't think about it as a color. What about your floors? It could be a beautifully polished patina.
I mean, color is all about context. Somebody had reached out and they were doing a campaign on the fuggliest color. I know you figure out what the fuggliest stands for, right? Okay. The reason they were doing a campaign on this is they wanted to deter people from smoking cigarettes. And they thought if they used this color on the packaging, people would be so turned off that they would never buy a carton of cigarettes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they asked us what's our opinion of the color. And as Lee was saying, it's all about context. Place that color next to a fabulous fuchsia, and all of a sudden you're going to see that color completely differently.
So I have to ask for all the Gen Z followers that we have who are watching, how did Brat Green sneak in this year? Where did that come from? Like, what were you thinking?
When I saw Brat Green, really what came to my mind was, oh, we called that out in 2017 with greenery. We were already seeing that. Yay for Charlie XCX for redefining perception of a color. How many young artists are using color to highlight who they are? Sure, there were older artists before Prince who we worked with to develop a custom color.
Whoa, that's so cool.
On Rolling Stone's Red. We did Ultra Black for Nas when he had come out with his anthem.
It's so true. It reminds me of Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
She has a different color for every era, and her fans literally see a color and know what
Associate
era.
it, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, she always wears that red lipstick.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, when I think of her, I think of that iconic red.
Totally. Any other points or anything that you think is important?
Express, explore, experiment. Try on color one day, try a different color the next day. It really is just a mode of self-expression. Have fun with it.
Every holiday season, shoppers are bombarded with holiday campaigns and gimmicks, especially by high-end designer brands. Louis Vuitton, for example, projected a 200-foot-tall light show on their flagship store in New York that combines the brand's heritage with holiday spirit.
Or I've seen a ton of Swarovski's campaign with Ariana Grande, cashing in on the Wicked buzz. And a survey of luxury shoppers this year say they plan to spend an average of $730 over the course of the holidays.
And these campaigns for brands are now actually more important than ever because the luxury shopper base has dropped by 50 million over the past 2 years, which is one of the few times in history that the luxury shopper base has shrunk this much.
Yeah, brands increasing prices to target wealthier buyers combined with weaker consumer confidence right now amid wars or China's economic woes, or as you know from Newsgirls, elections around the globe, have led many customers, especially the young ones, to forego purchases this year.
So for some context, over the past few decades, luxury brands went through what they call democratizing their products to upper middle class consumers. But over the pandemic, the luxury market had a crazy boom and actually grew 30%. So then luxury prices rose dramatically and they started targeting only like the top 1%. But of course, as we know recently, there's been so much inflation, so nobody really has the money to buy all of these expensive products right now. So the luxury market is really struggling.
Yeah, if you've shopped for designer bags or clothes recently, things are expensive right now. And in fact, luxury prices have increased 60% in just the last 5 years.
Yeah, so for example, in 2020, a Lady Dior bag would cost $4,100, but today that same bag costs $6,200, which is a 51% price increase. Shoppers are now basically paying 15 times what that bag costs to make.
And in the past decade alone, the price of a classic Chanel bag has increased over 100%, which means it's outperforming the stock market and the price of gold. And this is funny, actress Christina Ricci actually sold her collection of Chanel bags to fund her divorce.
So buyers are clearly unhappy with these crazy soaring prices, but they're also unhappy with the products themselves. And experts are saying that this can be attributed to a creativity crisis in the designer world. So major fashion houses have all been transitioning creative designers this year, like Gucci, Valentino, actually Chanel a few days ago, Bottega Veneta, and they're obviously the ones who kind of guide the brand's image, and shoppers reportedly don't feel like spending more on a product that doesn't show any innovation or change.
Yeah, so experts say these brands face a crossroads, like either they innovate to prove their value or they cut prices to attract wider clientele. But it doesn't seem like the latter is really appealing to these brands. LVMH, which owns 75 luxury brands, said it would be a mistake. We would have to stay true to who we are.
Which is like very annoying, but I mean, I get their point. These brands are so invested in their like legacy and heritage and are really proud of the fact that they stay true to their exclusive image instead of like selling out to all of these quickly changing trends. But they do need to do something because they're not just losing US shoppers. According to recent data, there was a 20% sales drop in China, which accounts for a fifth of the global luxury market.
China is a fascinating case study, actually. Between 2017 and 2021, their luxury market tripled. It was a crazy boom, and designers were even making products just specifically for the Asian market.
But now China is going through what experts are calling an economic hangover. So they're dealing with like a property crisis and high youth unemployment and political tensions. And so interestingly, to handle all of this, Xi Jinping's government has fueled a campaign of luxury shaming. So in just May, the Chinese government began to crack down on online influencers that were wealth flaunting, and they started basically banning those accounts online.
A wild example is Wang Hongkong-Ching, who is known as China's Kim Kardashian. He's this extravagant influencer who says he owns 7 properties and never leaves the house in an outfit that's worth less than $1 million. So people follow him for this over the top, like very aspirational lifestyle. But now his account on Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, is inaccessible to his 4.3 million followers for community guidelines violations.
And since then, thousands of accounts on different Chinese platforms have been removed. And this isn't some like stealth government campaign either. So China's Cyberspace Administration actually announced that they were going to do this. And interestingly, now we're seeing the rise of new farmers, which is something that's like trending in Chinese social media. And what that is basically romanticizing rural charm and like a slow-paced, modest lifestyle.
It's giving trad wife. It's crazy how far the Chinese mindset has swung back, because for so long China was synonymous with shopping or like spending a lot. So I'm shocked to hear it's out of style now.
Yeah, I think brands were really shocked too. Like you said, they basically made all of this extra inventory for the Asia market, and now they're kind of left with a bunch of unsold stock. So even like last summer, brands like Burberry had crazy like 50-60% off sales all over China because they needed to like get rid of all of this product. And post-pandemic, we're seeing Chinese citizens spend a lot more on travel and experiences, probably because they were like locked up in the country for so long, as well as safe assets like gold instead of designer items.
But of course, China is still the producing capital of the world. We're all used to seeing made in China on basically everything we own, and it's considered added value if an item isn't made in China. And so Western companies go to great lengths to be able to say their items are made locally.
Especially designer brands. So an ongoing investigation by the Italian authorities has recently revealed that brands like Dior and the Armani Group have factories that are run by subcontractors that illegally bring in low-wage foreign workers to Italy to basically manufacture products that can slap on a Made in Italy label, but are actually produced at Made in China prices. So for example, this investigation showed one Made in Italy Dior bag was made for $57 and was sold for $2,800.
That's
which is
crazy.
It's like a 5,000% markup.
Dior especially is not looking good right now because a Milan court just placed them under judicial administration for a year after an investigation of 2 of these factories. based outside Milan, was found to have exploited their workers. So they paid them just €2 an hour. They forced them to sleep at the factory so that they could have manpower available 24/7. And they forcibly removed the safety devices from equipment so that they can produce things faster.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, this is obviously so inhumane and obviously a violation of labor codes, but it's also lying to buyers because customers buy these handbags and shoes for thousands of dollars thinking that they're made by like skilled craftsmen, but actually these brands are just mass producing these products by inexperienced workers, basically taking advantage of everyone in the system and then profiting.
No, it raises so many ethical questions about purchasing these products, not to mention the sustainability and the environmental impacts, which could be its own story. And so for that reason, so many people are opting to buy secondhand.
Yeah, secondhand and resale is becoming so popular. So in 2023, consumers bought close to $50 billion worth of pre-owned clothing, bags, and accessories. And that market is just growing. McKinsey estimates that the resale sector will see 10 to 15% annual growth in the next decade.
And so these brands have gotten the message too, and they've started to embrace secondhand way more than they used to. Chloe now has Chloe Vertical, which traces a product's supply chain for ethics and authenticity. And Gucci has a partnership with Vestiaire, which is a luxury resale platform that allows customers to trade in pre-loved Gucci items for store credit.
Other brands like Loewe have opened recraft stores that are basically dedicated to maintaining and repairing leather goods. And there's like a lot of different options you can pick, like edge painting, restitching, handle replacement, and that can all be done by a full-time leather artisan that's present on site, which is cool because it encourages customers to kind of like hang on to their products for longer and know that it's a lifetime investment.
And that would be a good gift in itself, like fixing up someone's purse or shoes or something.
Yeah, I definitely have a few bags that I love that could use a refresh. But on the other hand, you can sell your pre-owned designer items if you want through platforms like The RealReal, which everyone has heard of. It has seen astronomical growth in the past few years.
You can. You totally could sell your things through the secondhand market, but just be warned, like steel yourself, because luxury items, it's so hard to get a return on investment that comes remotely close to what you paid for it.
Ren, tell them the story.
Oh my God. So I once got $7 for selling a Balenciaga cashmere dress on The RealReal.
7.
It's just so embarrassing. But I guess they say like the second an item is used, its value immediately starts to decrease.
So with all of this being said, how do you get the best bang for your buck if you're still planning on buying designer for the holidays?
Well, experts advise going one of two ways. Either opt for a timeless staple that will never go out of style, like a classic Chanel flap bag or something, or go the other way and get something that's unique and limited edition because they're hard to come by, like an uber rare Himalayan Birkin sold at auction for almost $500,000.
Well, if you don't have millions to spare, experts say to stick to neutral designs and colors because those will never really go out of style versus really loud neon colors or patterns that'll be harder to sell down the road. And in that vein, make sure to keep certificates of authenticity and original packaging for when you want to sell down the road.
And of course, check outlet stores because they can have amazing discounts, like up to 90%, or shop secondhand. "2024 has been a chaotic year for airline travel. There was the door that flew off the plane midair that halted the production of the 737 MAX, the woman who stowed away on a flight to Paris without a ticket, and my personal rock bottom, the Delta CrowdStrike meltdown."
Yes, I witnessed your journey from afar and it was painful.
My cat is still scarred from flying.
This year also featured the Boeing plane engine that sprouted flames, another Boeing that lost a tire after takeoff, and just last week, a plane heading to North Carolina had to make an emergency landing with just one engine because a bird flew into the other engine and destroyed it.
Yeah, that would have been scary to be aboard.
So obviously, because of all of the travel craziness and all of these headlines, people are more hesitant to travel, flying is still considered a super safe way to travel, and this year is no different. We're just seeing more coverage. There's actually a 1 in 13.4 million chance of dying in a plane accident.
It's still hands down the safest form of transportation. We don't even want to give you the driving stats for comparison because I wish I could forget those.
And with a record-breaking 119 million people expected to travel before the end of the year, which is actually more than half of all Americans, 54 million of those are expected to fly. So we're going to take you through our Newsgirls Holiday Travel Survival Guide.
So if you're flying in the next couple weeks, be warned, the Friday and Sunday before and after Christmas will be the busiest days. So get to the airport extra early on those days.
Yes, even though I am one of those people that really hate to get to the airport early, I just hate waiting around.
Well, sadly, that is unavoidable. But there have been some updates recently that might make the whole experience, a little better. So just a few days ago, United announced that it's the first airline to use customers' AirTags to locate lost luggage.
Basically, if you have an AirTag in your bag, United will have a share feature on their app so you can share your AirTag location with United. And so if you lose your luggage, it's easier for a representative to track the bag. And the link to tracking the bag actually deactivates in 7 days.
And while 99% of luggage isn't lost, this will come in handy in those rare instances, and every major airline plans to implement AirTag tracking in the next coming months.
Another really big change implemented by the transportation department after all the delays and complaints from flyers because of the outages and strikes and COVID flying is a new rule requiring airlines to give prompt automatic refunds to passengers of delayed flights as of October 28th.
And we finally have a universal definition for significant delay. So for domestic flights, that's 3 hours, and for international flights, it's 6 hours. So if your flight is delayed that much or longer, airlines are now required to automatically refund you in cash or to the original form of payment within 20 days.
Yeah, so you don't have to talk to a representative and track airlines on the phone. You just get it automatically. You also get a bag refund if your bag has been significantly delayed, or a refund for Wi-Fi or a specific seat if those end up becoming unavailable. And this was interesting. You also get a refund if your flight changes and your new itinerary adds more scheduled connections, or if your new itinerary makes you depart or arrive to a different airport than the original, you get a refund.
And we have Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg's relentless work to hold airlines accountable for these changes. And I read a Times exit interview with him, and he said he almost always flies economy, which was a surprise to me. And his best travel tip is don't check a bag if you can help it.
And to give us some more holiday travel tips, we're speaking to Madison Blancafleur, who's the managing editor of The Points Guy. So The Points Guy recently published a holiday travel survey with a market research firm. What were your guys' findings?
Yeah, so we published a poll with the Harris poll, and we found that 51% of US adults plan on traveling during this holiday season. I know, which is crazy. And half of that half, so about 55% of those travelers plan on flying. So a lot of people are about to be hitting the airports over the next few weeks. We also found that a lot of people are really interested in, pricing and deals. That was a big priority this holiday season. I think a lot of people are, feeling it in their wallets and want to get the best deal possible when they are flying to visit family.
And we know flying can be so stressful during the holidays, especially when it's as busy as it's about to be. So what are the Points Guys' best tips to make it less stressful, easier, more enjoyable?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, if you haven't already downloaded the app for the airline you're flying, definitely do that before you head to the airport. I think most airlines, certainly all of the major ones in the US, have their own app, and you can actually handle a lot of the travel day, logistics through that app. Make sure that you reserve your airport parking in advance, so that way you don't have to deal with it the morning up. I have a 6 a.m. flight tomorrow morning. You can bet I will be booking my Uber tonight before I go to bed.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I also have an early flight, so I'm gonna do that too.
So me and my boyfriend are always arguing over how early to get to the airport. So what is the Points Guys official statement on how early you need to get to the airport during holiday season?
As much as I hate to say it, as someone who likes to get to the airport with as little time as possible before my flight, during the holidays, you really want to get there the actual 2 hours in advance. Yeah, it's going to be so busy. There are going to be a ton of people traveling. If you have lounge access, That's great. You get some extra time in the lounge. If you don't, that sucks, but it is better to it's better to be there, in case anything goes wrong.
So true.
Yeah.
And what, like, God forbid something goes horribly wrong, what is the best way to contact the airline? Like, or what do you advise? How do you stay calm? What should you do?
I would definitely have sort of a backup plan in mind. So think about, if something goes wrong with my flight, like what am I going to do? You can also call, which is honestly what I prefer to do. So like lots of people will like head straight for a ticket counter. And if you're the first person in line at that counter, that's great for you. If you're the 50th person in line at that ticket counter,
Yep.
it's kind of nuts. So I actually will get in line and then call.
A lot of people are traveling with gifts. So we've heard, checking in bags is not advisable. What is your tip on traveling with gifts?
Yeah. So if you are traveling with gifts, if you can get it in a carry-on, definitely get it in a carry-on. That way, like you have it with you. You don't have to worry about it being, delayed or lost or, it falling off the conveyor belt at any point in time. My biggest tip is don't wrap them. So if you're
Oh.
planning on traveling with gifts, don't wrap them because if you go through TSA and they need to look at what's wrapped,
Oh,
all of that
no.
hard work goes out the window.
So we've all been racking up the credit card points with our holiday spending, buying gifts, maybe buying things for ourselves. And what would you say right now are the best deals for transferring credit card points to airline miles?
There are 3 or 4 big transfer bonuses right now. Actually, it's 3. And that is Amex to Virgin Atlantic Flying Club, which is they've got a 40% bonus right now, which is huge.
Whoa.
And Chase currently has a 20% bonus to Air Canada Aeroplan. So if you want to go to, Vancouver, Montreal, that's a great option. Chase also has a transfer bonus to KLM Flying Blue, 20%. Yep. And KLM Flying Blue, they do monthly promo like rewards. So if you, deal stack, find a good deal on promo rewards and then also use the transfer bonus, you can save even more.
There has been, as I'm sure you've heard, like so much crazy news about flying this past year, and people are kind of scared. So, what is your advice?
We hear so much in the news about the things that go wrong. And I think it's really important to remember that while those incidents are scary, flying is still one of, if not the safest way to travel. Statistically speaking, you are actually like from your door to where you land, the safest part of your journey is when you are in the airplane. You are, more at risk actually driving to the airport than you are you're in the plane. MIT actually recently published a study that showed that despite, everything we hear in the news, like flying has actually gotten safer over the years too. I think those, that sort of stuff really helps me put it into perspective. 45,000 flights take off approximately every day in the US. And yes, we hear about everything that goes wrong. If there is a specific aircraft that you want to avoid, when you book your flights, you can actually see what the scheduled aircraft is.
And so then one last question. What is the best way to give travel as a gift? Like, are there any tips for gifting it during the holidays?
You can usually always like book travel in someone else's name, but that gets more complicated when you're using points.
Yeah, like it seems like travel isn't the easiest thing to gift, and maybe it's more like print out like the location, a picture of where you want to go, and be like, I'm gonna buy this when you like approve all the flights.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. I love giving experiences as gifts. Now, if you're going on the trip, so like if you're booking a trip for like your significant other, or a sibling or a best friend, and you're going on the trip with them, that's super easy because then you just buy 2 tickets. But I think it does get a little harder when you're booking like on behalf of.
Well, that was so helpful. Madison gave us some great tips that I will definitely be taking some of them. So Mabel, what are you doing for the holidays?
So usually I always go home to Los Angeles for the holidays, but this year we're going on a family trip to Switzerland. So my brother and I are like meeting my parents who are already there. So that'll be fun. And we're going to Switzerland because I don't even think I've told you, my parents went there for their honeymoon and it was their like 30th wedding anniversary last year. So we're kind of going there to like celebrate and spend the holidays there, which will be really fun. So I'm excited.
Are you going to where they went?
Yes, that'll be part of it. Like every time we go to the same like hotel that they stayed at and like stay in the same area. So it'll be cute. I'm excited.
That's so special.
Yeah. What are you doing for the holidays?
I am flying back to Wisconsin, which is actually a very magical time to be in Wisconsin. There's snow. It'll be a white Christmas on the lake. We can like go ice skating, and my dad makes like a skating rink in front of the house.
Oh, cute.
It's obviously super cold. When I land, it will be 3 degrees.
Oh, 3. Okay.
3. It'll be winter wonderland. It'll be so fun.
Don't you also have like 9 cats in one house?
Only 5
Okay.
for this. Last summer we had 7, but
Right.
my brother is not bringing his cats, but I'm of course bringing my 2 cats, so there will be 5.
That will be a nice full house. So we've reached the last episode of the year, and we are so thankful for all of you for like joining and like listening to Newsgirls every week. This will be a year that we're just never going to forget.
Yes, and we have big plans for 2025. We will have some rerun episodes airing the next couple weeks, but we'll be back with a brand new episode on January 9th. So have a wonderful holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays, guys. Bye.